What's up, Taiwan? I'm Jeremy Olivier with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's military has just wrapped up its first day of live-fire missile tests in southern Pingtung using the U.S.-purchased HIMARS system. Defense reporter Jaime Okan was there to see them in action for the first time.
At this secret military base in southern Pingtung, Taiwan's army is making history. For the first time, Taiwan is firing the US-made HIMARS, or High Mobility Artillery Rocket System. It's one of the most precise weapons in the world that fires rockets and missiles on the back of a truck. Soldiers here are learning how to hit targets at sea as part of annual missile tests.
我们今天实施火箭弹的射击训练。那回到驻地之后，我们实施战备任务训练。待战备任务训练都完备之后，我们才会实施成军。
This test has been 5 years in the making, after Taiwan first ordered 11 HIMARS systems in 2020. The first batch of those weapons arrived roughly 6 months ago. But in 2022, Taiwan bought an additional 18. If all goes to plan, Taiwan will receive 29 HIMARS systems. And so the goal now for the military is to figure out where the weapon fits in the overall defensive strategy, taking lessons from the war in Ukraine on how to best utilize this kind of firepower. In Ukraine, soldiers have been using the HIMARS to hit Russian military facilities with precision without being exposed to a counterattack for too long. Eyeing threats from neighboring China, Taiwan could do the same if a war broke out, as some of the missiles in the HIMARS can reach almost 300 kilometers.
Once you fire a big artillery system, you got to get out of there very quickly because the enemy's going to be able to find you and return fire. So the HIMARS is going to be far more survivable in its ability to shoot and scoop. These weapon systems, these HIMARS, could basically fire from a place that would be very hard to find before they fired, knock these things out, and that would complicate Chinese planning.
Late last year, photos emerged of Taiwanese soldiers in the U.S. state of Oklahoma learning how to operate the HIMARS, and it's the same unit that's taking part in these missile tests. As more U.S. weapons continue to arrive, Taiwan's biggest challenge may be ensuring that soldiers on the ground know how to operate these advanced systems.
And that's the key piece, because you can get Taiwan all the great weapons in the world, but at the end of the day, if this thing actually happens, if the commanders on the ground aren't totally sure of how they're supposed to use this weapon, this thing could fall apart pretty quick.
As Taiwan wraps up these historic HIMARS tests, the Army here says it feels confident about its capabilities, as it takes what could be another step towards modernizing the military. Fu Hao-hong and Jaime Okan in Pingtung County for TaiwanPlus.
Representatives from a temple in China are being investigated over suspicions they're in Taiwan to promote unification under the guise of a religious exchange. Reese Ayers has more.
An innocent religious exchange or a matter of national security? It's a distinction Taiwan must make amid another suspected case of Chinese infiltration. Taiwan's Mainland Affairs Council has received reports that a group representing the Fumei Temple from China's Fujian province have met local officials here in Taiwan. But why is that an issue? Well, Taiwan has strict and clear regulations on groups from China who intend on doing so-called professional exchanges in Taiwan. Apparently, there's no record of this group applying for a permit that would allow them to have the kinds of meetings they're accused of having. The fear from officials is that this group is here to conduct united front work, essentially a campaign by the Chinese Communist Party to influence and recruit people outside of China to promote Beijing's agenda. Taiwan has repeatedly expressed concerns about increasing attempts of this nature. The Mainland Affairs Council have said that for several years now, the CCP has been using religious exchanges as a way to promote its policy of unifying Taiwan with China. These ongoing attempts have led lawmakers from the ruling Democratic Progressive Party to put forward several proposed changes to national security laws, amendments that would increase penalties and broaden the scope of those laws to include punishments for not only those who actively manage United Front campaigns, but also intermediaries who help spread information or source funding for them. The Interior Ministry also recently set up a website where groups from Taiwan hoping to engage in cross-strait religious exchanges are asked to log in and make public the intention of their visit. Yet another mechanism Taiwan is using to potentially deter or catch nefarious exchanges happening on either side of the strait. Scott Huang, Alex Chen and Reese Ayers for TaiwanPlus.
The Taiwanese community in Toronto came out in full force at an annual charity run to call for Taiwan's inclusion ahead of the World Health Assembly.
公共卫生和健康，它不是商品，它更不是这个政治的场域。世界卫生组织是世界上最重要的卫生组织，不应该排除台湾的参与。
Running and walking under the name of Team Taiwan, the group raised $8,000 for the McKinsey Health Foundation's annual event. The team says it hoped to show Taiwan's commitment to combating global health issues and Taiwan's determination to participate in the WHO, the World Health Organization's top decision-making body. The head of Taiwan's representative office in Toronto also thanked Canada for openly supporting Taiwan's inclusion in the assembly. It's one of the few countries to do so. It's been just over a month since US President Donald Trump announced a 90-day pause on sweeping tariffs that sparked trade tensions around the world. Now, Taiwanese bike manufacturers, who rely heavily on the US market, are facing a wave of uncertainty. Lauren Pattimore reports.
Carbon and alloy wheels. That's Jeff Chen's specialty. He leads Joy Group, a bike manufacturing company based in Taichung, building on the legacy of his grandfather, who started the business in the 70s. Chen makes tyres for high-end bikes that he sells to the US and Europe. His is one of 900 companies in Taiwan's multi-billion US dollar bike manufacturing industry. But US President Donald Trump's threat to impose a 32% tariff on imports from Taiwan, a move now delayed until July, has left the industry in limbo.
这个是一下子来的又急又猛，然后百分比又高。那我们当初也是都在等客户那边的反应是什么，因为特别是美国而已嘛。
Orders were dropped when the tariffs were announced on April 2, then surged a week later because of the pause, as customers realised they had a small window to avoid steep levies. Now, Taiwan's manufacturers are grappling to meet much higher demand. But as Washington and Taipei negotiate a trade deal, manufacturers like Chen are finding it hard to plan for the future.
这个部分太不明朗，大家没办法猜测。那有些人是说有可能高于10% 或者到30%，那可能三方面都要吸收某程度的百分比。
Taiwan's manufacturers have specialised in making components for final products, meaning anywhere producing bicycles rely on the country for parts.
我们在自行车产业，那我们扮演的角色是，比如汽车的引擎，所以我们做的是自行的驱动件。那驱动件有化骨跟轮圈组两项是我们主要的项目。
Some analysts say even if Trump imposes tariffs on Taiwan, their market is still a better option than other competitors, like China.
The market is dominated by Taiwanese players. Who else can you source? Because let's say your competitor would be Chinese, say Chinese manufacturers in China, but they're having a higher tariff, and then also their technology and their production is not up to the kind of high-end bike requires. So in this sense, the game is still by the Taiwanese manufacturers.
Trump hopes tariffs will encourage global manufacturers to move production to the United States. But that's an unlikely option for businesses like Chen's. Taiwanese bike company giant says replicating production there would be nearly impossible due to higher costs and labour challenges. For now, as Chen waits for Washington to decide how their goods will be taxed in the US, his only choice is to follow his grandfather, making bike parts to keep food on his family's table. Leon Lien and Lauren Pattimore for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Finally, check out these bird lovers on the lookout for their favorite feathered friends for International Birdwatching Day in Colombia. I'm Jeremy Olivier. Take care and see you next time.